It's an intention. You weren't paying attention to the intention.
Mm.
So many people want to be spiritual, but they don't understand spiritual things. You don't know spiritual things. And this is why I don't lean to the spiritual community, because they made a mockery of the things that are sacred.
Mm.
You're going to tell me about meditation, but you ain't going to tell me about prayer. You ain't going to tell me about supplication. You ain't going to teach me about lamentation. You're not going to teach me about adoration.
Preach.
You're going to tell me about crystals,
Mm.
but you ain't going to teach me about true light.
I say.
Into righteousness, other than the only path that is made to walk to be righteous.
Mm. Which one is that?
You tried to circumvent and just be right.
Mm.
There's only one way to be righteous.
Okay.
That's a pure heart and pure intention.
Real talk.
David said, give me a clean heart. Give me a clean. Most of David's Psalms pertain to the heart, pertain to heart matters, issues of the heart, not the physical heart, but the id. Many of you have gone astray because of your your logic has made you try to understand from a carnal mind.
Mm.
You
That's deep
felt
too.
like you can be righteous without a pure heart. You felt like you can be righteous and be judgmental. You felt like you can be righteous without actually having the gifts and expressing the gifts of the Spirit. You thought that your rhetoric could make you righteous.
Mm.
You thought that your schooling, you learning about chakras, you learning all these other things, thinking that these would be the things that would make you righteous. There are many people that are righteous that know nothing about any of those things. There are many people that are righteous that are illiterate. If you practice Islam, wasn't Muhammad illiterate?
Yeah. And it's interesting you brought up David and said how he was all his prayers came from the heart, and low key his emotions or his heart in a way is what kind of brung his downfall. I guess you could say desires more so, but I feel like that's kind of being guided by lust or lower, I guess, emotional desires, almost like Adam being coerced by Eve to bite from the tree. You know, it's kind of like I could, me, I could go into that doctrine. I believe that the women are the emotions and the man is the logic, but almost like the emotions kind of leading him and making him fall from his glory when he was at the height. You know what I'm saying? Because he was persuaded by another man's wife, and that brung a long, long road of downfall to his life. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? After that,
Scripture of the day. Some of y'all don't know where these Psalms come from. Y'all don't know that these are the books that cast away demons and spells. These are spells. The book of Psalms is a book of spells,
mm,
right? David said, Scripture of the day, Psalms 51, verse 10. David said, create in me a clean heart and renew with the right spirit within me. Create in me a clean heart and renew the right spirit. So how do I renew my spirit? Is by creating within me a clean heart.
Mm.
You can't be renewed in spirit without a clean heart. And you can't be fully transformed without a renewed mind. So two things need to be in your life righteous: a renewed spirit and a renewed mind. One is what you are aware of, one is the thing in which you act out through.
Mm.
So your actions can't be right if your spirit ain't right. Your awareness and your attention can't be set on the right things if you don't have a renewed mind.
I love that. Challenge yourself to stay at this level of love and peace. That's
Yeah.
real. That's real. Because if you look at being happy as a challenge, like if you look at joy, sad, if you look at emotions, which are things that in a lot of ways we really do have control over, I think that's what the whole meditation and Buddhism and stuff is about, getting into a state of nirvana, and so you're not affected by anything. But in realistic life, and common part, us people just being people in the world, I think that's very powerful practice, just to say today, no matter what, I'm going to stay at a certain level of joy and happiness and gratitude. And gratitude is another thing I've been realizing is such a powerful aspect, that if we really take heed to and keep in our hearts, it just really change your perspective and your mood when you learn to be grateful and have gratitude for everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially all the
Oh yeah.
past traumas and times you've been in situations and made it out. It'll keep you in that space of a high vibration as far as being joyful and loving and happy.
Yeah, and a lot of times, someone just said too. Hold on, let me go back to the comment.
Peace,
Eddie
brother.
just said, "Oh, somebody. Oh, that's soccer mom, right?
Yeah, thank you for bringing me up, brother.
Oh man, you know what? I can't see you on my screen, but I can
Oh,
hear you.
you can't see
Um,
me? Oh, okay.
no,
I
I
I,
can't
I
see you.
see you on mine. It be
Okay,
Okay.
like that
so
sometimes though.
it might be some. Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. Someone said, get to the highest point to be in the highest frequency, but people got to be able to realize the highest point. I could say that, but that could be subjective, right? That could be very subjective. The
It
highest
really is really the most balanced point is where you need to be at.
with righteous is the highest point.
Yeah,
To be
righteousness.
righteous, not self righteousness. Righteousness can be measured almost with a ruler.
Hmm.
So there's no higher point than being righteous.
Yeah.
And what is that? Having a pure heart and having renewed in you the right spirit and having a renewed mind so
Yeah.
that you can operate and think and have the consciousness of these things. This is the highest point you can be in. This is the highest space because your awareness is going to where, like he said, you're going to be balancing things in a particular way.
Hmm.
And it's going to produce a certain type of fruit, a certain type of manifestation, right? To where you're not the only one benefiting off of this thing. It is abundant. It's overflowing.
Yeah.
It
I
can't even you can't even contain it all.
I think it's so important to get more in that frequency too, because if like I said, I do like the Bible for a lot of things, and we're supposed to be making, no matter where you are in life, I think this is still effective. You're supposed to be making your home and making your world a place in which God's Son would want to return. We're supposed to be bringing heaven to the earth realm and to the earth frequency. So, how are you living your life, and how clean is your life? How clean is your closet? How righteous are you living? Are you living in a space in which the Son of God will want to come and visit you and give you the keys to heaven? Give you, you know what I'm saying, the keys or the levels or the promotion to take you to that next level. Are you actually living like that? You know what I'm saying? For
Yeah.
God to feel welcome to come into your home. Is your home clean enough for God to feel like he can come and take a seat? You know what I'm saying? I think that is a super check.
Oh, I like that. Is your home clean enough for God to take a seat? Boy,
Real
you just said
shit.
something. You just said something right there, boy. You really just said something right there. Is
Real
your home
shit.
clean enough for God to come take a seat?
Yeah, man.
Sheesh.
Some of y'all,
God don't want no water bed, man. Get the fuck out of
yeah.
here.
Yo, that's a word for me tonight. That's a word for me tonight. You know, a lot of people talk about them skeletons in their closet. Some of y'all ain't got skeletons. Y'all got real live active demons.
Real life.
Yeah, like they alive and well and kicking. They ain't no
You
skeleton.
open up the damn
They,
closet, they come
yeah,
out shooting. Come
yeah,
out
they
trying to
they
fight.
coming out. They alive and well. You know what I'm saying? Soccer mom, brother, gotta ask you a question.
Absolutely.
What what is praise to you, and how do you do it, if you do it at all?
Praise. Now, are we talking about praise in the verb sense, the action sense?
Ah, see? However you take that.
Okay. Well, I sometimes associate praise with worship.
They 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 complement one another.
Yeah. But you said what is praise?
Yeah, what
Right.
is praise to you?
Well, I don't know I can't recall the definition off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Go
But
to your spirit. Find it in the spirit.
but
The Holy
praise
Spirit is
is
within you.
being that it's a verb, right? So it's an action
Yeah,
of um acknowledging something mostly with a joyful enthusiasm. So a
that's the worship.
praise of
Worship would be worship
okay,
would
go.
be the acknowledgement.
Hmm.
Praise would be the telling.
Okay. So the telling of this acknowledgement, giving it out verbally, praise, like giving praise, like you have to give praise. It's a I so you well, it is a noun too. I don't. It's like what's they call it? Adjective.
Adjective.
Is
Adverb.
an adjective.
Fuck, I'm
So
fucking
so
up.
Adverb. Yeah, adverb. That'll be right. I think that's what you're looking for.
worship,
Adverb.
praise, praise and worship is all of the nouns. It is a person, it is a place, and it is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the above. There's a place, there's a spiritual space that you have to be in order to do this. There's a space, there's a place. You can't be, you know, of a particular um of a particular space at times and do this. You have to put yourself in the space sometimes to be able to do this. And that space is is tied to certain emotions. Emotions help to create the space, the proper space or the proper place to put you in the realm in which you need to be in order to acknowledge but also tell.
Yeah.
You know, um, because you could you could even be in a place of confusion and still give praise.
Hmm. I think that's why it's effective to have a church too. While the church is effective if you're at a healthy church with good, actually godly people, because it allows a space where you know, okay, when I walk in these doors, there's a certain decorum, there's a certain, religion, there's a certain practice, there's a certain energy that is acceptable, and it's a certain, vibe that we are, conjuring and dealing with once we come into this space. So if that is a pure energy, I think the church can be very effective
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
necessary.
Oh yeah. I mean that's Definitely, if the place is righteous, and if you really want to define righteousness, um, righteousness to different people mean different things. But when it comes to just if I had to give a sound definition for righteousness, righteousness would be the fulfillment. Righteousness would be the fulfillment of like a legal obligation,
Mm,
right? And a moral obligation. So it's legal and it's moral.
yeah.
And when you fulfill it, this is a lot of times people they have these different levels of morality, but they're not living up to the obligations thereof. You know, and it's legal. It's legal in every sense of the word. You've been contracted to do these things. You say, well, what's the contract? Life is the contract. Life itself is the contract. But some of y'all looking for paper. No, no, no. Life itself is the contract.
Hmm. And I think the true
You're a
righteousness.
contractor.
I think the true righteousness also comes with what the word integrity, or what you doing when no one's watching. I feel like for you to truly be righteous is not about being righteous when people are watching, but what are you doing when nobody's around? What are you doing when it's just you and
Oh yeah.
God, sitting in the dark? What you know what I'm saying? That goes back to the skeletons in the closet. What are you actually doing to make sure, yeah, make sure that you give me like 15 minutes. Yeah, give me like 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing, at all times? You feel me? To maintain.
See, some people you got tricked. You got tricked. You wanted to war against the church or the temple or the mosque, not realizing you the temple,
Mm,
you the mosque.
yeah.
See, it's different when you can war against ideologies, but the minute you begin to war against the church and the synagogue, that's a reflection
Yeah.
of a war, of an internal war that
Yeah.
you're having
You
with
got
yourself.
self hate.
I can listen to some people, I can listen to some people's disdain for certain things and realize that they are battling it internally
Hmm.
just by listening to their conversation. Some people ran away from church. Some people graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, some people's opinions are essentially confessions, like what they see the world at. Like
Yeah,
they level
you
accusations at this person or this entity or this god or these people. But at the same time, it's like, but you're guilty of the same, so you're really reflecting on yourself and you know
yeah.
projecting blame outwardly, which makes sense.
Tell me, tell me the church, the mosque, the temple that doesn't talk about love. Did you learn it?
Yeah.
Did you grasp it?
Did you read the book?
Yeah. What religion doesn't talk to you about those things? What religion then doesn't talk to you about grace? See, some of y'all threw the whole baby away with the bathwater.
Hmm.
You said I hate religion, so I'm throwing it all away. No, why? So you throwing the understanding, the love away, of patience away, of peace away. You're gonna throw all of that away.
Yeah. And what are you replacing it with? A lot of times, I think that's big too. Cause man, that's big because a lot of times people throw away, and this damn near all melanated people in America right now, especially the young ones under 30. They're throwing away Christianity, but they're not picking up anything else. So now they have nothing to stand on. They have no power. You really have no power for real because now you gave away, even though that version of God might not have been complete, from your understanding, to throw away any type of spiritual system or any type of checks and balances when it comes to your spirit and your relationship with God. is honestly diabolical, because now if you don't stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. If you just think you finna smoke weed and play with crystals all day and think you're going to be able to replace what our ancestors was getting from Christianity, I think you're sadly mistaken, and they're going to whoop our ass in the spiritual war, because we don't have anything to stand on.
You know, some people are full of it. They're full of it. They believe that they are full of the spirit. They're full of truth. I'll grant you that. Let's just say it. You are filled with all the knowledge. You are filled with all the wisdom. You're filled with it. But what good is it if you don't operate in the power of it?
Hmm.
What good is it if you're filled with it, but you don't operate in the power of it?
Yeah.
You're just full of shit. You're just full of shit.
Vegan shit. They
That's it.
eating vegetables and shit, but you still full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
But
saying?
also, like a lot of these people talk about, like, hey, my spirit won't be disturbed and whatever. But if somebody comes and tries to knock you over the head, that's disturbing your spirit. What are you gonna do? Like, do your Kentucky
I'm,
dance? What the
I'm,
fuck? Get out of here.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and then, you know, Malai, you just said something too. You just said something. You just really said something. You
Yeah,
know,
say
because a
something.
lot of people want to be, you know, to be stoic. Do you think that that's admirable?
Not by itself. I think it's like it's a good like point in your life, to have the stoicism as an option, but it shouldn't be just your resting place for good, Like, I think stoicism
Right.
is more appropriate for somebody who's older, right? Who doesn't have as much energy in them, and they can subject themselves to more of their philosophical, aims. At
I,
that
I
point, you're really educating the younger generations and that kind of thing. But
I feel
when
like you
you're
get
still
my bad.
when
Go
you're
ahead.
still able physically to kind of like perform in life and be active and offer assistance and be the example that you speak of, right? You kind of unite the warrior and the philosopher in one person. um, that's when you should kind of commit to it and be that kind of light, and it would be like it would be sacrilegious to kind of let that energy go, right? And you know just rest idly.
I feel like you get 23 chromosomes from both parents for a reason. Because when I think stoicism, I think it's just extreme masculinity or extreme masculine traits. You just very, stern and logical, right? I feel like there's a need for both energies. You know what I'm saying? You can be the manliest man if you don't have a level, if you don't know you got 23 chromosomes from your mother as well as your father. I feel like you're not using your vessel and you're not being complete as a soul. You
Yeah,
have to learn how to use
yeah,
your
like
feminine energies and your masculine energies. I feel like both
yeah,
are
like
necessary.
a man who can't be tamed is animal, right? In a sense.
Yeah, and then eventually, because it don't matter how strong you are, you can bench press 2,000 pounds. If God decides today you're gonna get in a car accident, you gotta know you gotta know how to have a level of submission to that moment, and you gotta know how to, I guess, adhere to a higher power, or either have a faith that's stronger than your muscles, or a faith that's stronger than whatever you think you're doing as an individual soul, because we all have to lean on a higher power, in some way, shape, or form. Because you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
life is unpredictable. Like I said, like I said, if you bench press 3,000 pounds, if that damn 18 wheeler hit you, that's your ass, and you better have some God somewhere in you, or that's the end of story.
Yeah. A lot of people, once again, that going back to people full of stuff, but not operating in the power of. Many people say, you know, that they have God, but does God have you?
Mm.
But does God have you? Can you say God got me? See, when you have God, it's almost idolatrous the way we
Mm.
say it.
I like that
You
word.
know, we want to be able to control it and manipulate it to a certain degree. We feel like we are the only things that can appease it. We're the only things that, and we set it up and we carve it out a certain way. You know what I mean? But does God have you?
Yeah.
Can you say God got me and I got God? Yeah. That's really what it boils down to.
And I think it's
So
built
this,
off relationship. We talked about this in church a couple weeks
yeah,
ago. Cause like I said, I'm very balanced. I'm a true Libra. I'm balanced in all ways. I'm very spiritual. I can go be with the hippies in the jungle and play with crystals and sage, but at the same time, when I'm in a good Christian church, I know how to humble myself and be a part of that and worship the Lord too. So we was talking in church. It was a really good point. What is the relationship that you're building with God? It's one thing to just go and ask God for something. A lot of times we just have ask, forgive me, I repent, ask, but we're not building that relationship. And I think this goes back to, how do you praise? How are you respecting and giving honor to, God or that higher power daily? How are you building that relationship? Do you have a rapport with this God before you just go ask for some shit? Are you just asking for things, or are you constantly talking to God and thanking Him for the things He's already given you before you go and ask for something new? Right? I think we
yeah,
have to do that. And that's how God got you. God has you depending on the relationship that you built with God. You know what I'm saying? Through constant prayer, through constant affirmation, through living righteous. Now God can see you and you know that He has you. That's how you truly have a Christ-like faith, because you put in the work and did your 40 days and 40 nights and you've been consistent. You know what I'm
oh yeah.
saying? You're serving the people for real.
Consistency comes from having a certain consciousness. You know, without the right mind state and without the right spirit, it's really hard to be consistent,
Yeah.
because consistency requires a level of will.
Mm,
Sometimes you have to will things. You have to resist things. Some things you have to abstain from. You know, some things you have to allow in. You know, to stay consistent. It's not just clear cut. Interpret the experience, and me having the wisdom to interpret the experience lets me know what exactly I should be doing in order to stay consistent. Like it's not enough just to say I'm going to keep doing the same thing. Consistency is not always doing the same thing. Sometimes it's about staying in the right spirit.
mm,
And that allows, because sometimes for you to stay consistent, you have to allow change.
yeah.
Things are constantly changing in your life, but yet you're still consistent. Success keeps coming to you. New things keep appearing.
And
There's change.
finding your purpose
Yeah,
too.
because you're consistent. That
Hmm.
consistency is not just about doing the same thing. It's about being in the same spirit consistently,
Hmm. Hmm.
continuously. And some of you keep, once again, breaking that spirit, vexing the spirit, putting it in a position, putting yourself in these positions to where you allow compromising things to overtake you. Whether that's yielding to emotions, yielding to frivolous things, you know, yielding to lust, whatever.
Like even yielding to intellect, just intellect for the sake of intellect isn't enough. I think a lot of what goes on in this quote unquote spiritual community is It's like have a bigger brain than you do. Essentially, is all they're saying, right? It's like I know bigger words, I know bigger concepts, and you don't understand
Yeah,
this and all this shit, right? Like showing praise to a human being is so much easier than people think it is, right? It's like it's very simply like I can give you a good example, like I show praise, for example. You said that I usually do it through music. That's one of my avenues, right? But for me, I also
right.
show praise. I write poetry. I do some art. I'll share a piece of art that I drew myself and give it to somebody that I care about. If that's something I like, if I want to transfer that kind of energy, then I would. Like it's not. I'm not very possessive about certain things, right? So, I think letting go of link to the ego in a sense, right? Because the ego wants to possess things. But sometimes you can transcend your ego and let it come down to earth and meet the other person as they are, right? Like it's not just in service of me myself, because I see myself in you. So like, why am I not serving you? It actually like it creates a cyclical like karmic thing where it's like as opposed
You know,
to being stuck in a loop, you could
some
kind of
people,
endlessly loop it around other people and yourself, right? Like you can
yeah,
get essentially infinite blessings in a way.
and you know, I mean, people have lost good friends and good people in their life because they didn't know how to praise them
Yep.
or give them the adoration that they, and
Too,
never at
too
any point
competitive.
just told them, yo, you're a good friend. You're a really good friend. Sometimes that's all some people want to hear.
Yeah.
They don't want your gifts. They don't want your money. They don't want none of that. They just they they're rewarded by you affirming to them the goodness of sometimes just their presence, the appreciation you have for their words and their faithfulness. That's all.
But sometimes
Some
gifts
people
and
don't recognize. Some
presents
people
and
don't know
money
how to treat.
sometimes complicate
Don't know how
things,
to treat a friend.
right?
Yeah.
But, but even like throwing money at a problem like doesn't always solve it. And sometimes it becomes more people become more skeptical of you, right? They think like, why is he throwing money at this, right? Like, why is he giving me this gift? He never gives me gifts. Like, no, I'm questioning everything that you do. You know what I mean? That's just as bad.
Yeah, didn't it almost look like you looking like down? Some people, if you give them too much money, or that you feel like they feel like you looking down on them, especially males. I really feel like the best thing you can do, especially for your male friends, because men want to be respected. It's just be like, hey, I seen that live you did earlier. That nigga, you was talking that shit. Something as simple as that can really
Yeah.
make you a good friend. That could make that person's day because they like shit. Well, yeah, I put my foot in that live and I was talking that shit. You seen all that stuff I researched. You know what I'm saying? You just let them know, hey, I see you, brother. Good shit. Keep going. Whoop, whoop. That's all it takes. At least for me, that's kind of how I'm a good friend.
Yeah,
I love words of
sometimes
affirmation.
that's the battery. That add a little more juice to your boost just to hear somebody
Yeah,
say you're doing a good job.
real
You know
shit.
what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes that's all some people need to hear, man. Hey, man, you're a good father, man. Keep it up.
Especially that one.
Hey, man, you're a good friend. Keep it up.
Yeah. How many
And
fathers
then I
don't
like
hear
the
that?
job you did.
Yeah,
You
fathers
know?
don't hear that
True.
shit,
True,
man. People
man.
don't care about Father's Day.
Yeah.
Everybody care about Mother's Day. Fathers don't be getting no love for real.
Yeah, man.
That's a fact.
Yeah, the good fathers definitely need to hear that.
Yeah, sometimes sometimes that's all people need, man. Sometimes that's all people need. Sometimes you gotta, you really gotta appreciate the people that are consistent in your life. Their consistency is not due to anything that you've done. Their consistency is just based off of the nature of them, of who they are.
Hmm.
Just off of who they are. You ain't did nothing at times to deserve it. Matter of fact, you did everything to not deserve it. But yet they there. You understand? So, let's not take people, you know, um, time. Let's not take people's presence. You know what I mean? Their attitude is the attitude that causes you to be in a space to give a proper praise.
Right. I
You
want I
know?
want to hear what he had said earlier too about, are you teaching out of a space? Are you just teaching just so you can flex you know, how big your brain is? Like, are you teaching to belittle and make other people feel small, or are you teaching to truly liberate? I think that's a true sign of a true Messiah or a true prophet or a true, you know, master teacher or, you know, a real scholar. Is are you teaching to make people other people feel small, or are you teaching so that you can actually enlighten and give information and light
Hey,
to people? And I
hey,
think a
hey,
lot of
Crystal,
people.
when you go back and you play the last live I did, that was the space that I was gonna come from.
Okay.
And I told everybody in the beginning, I can't come from that space because that would have been ego. So I didn't teach the thing that I was gonna teach today because it would have been from a place of ego.
Mm. And
And
some
I,
and
and I,
that shows you a good teacher that you was able to check that in yourself, if that is truly the case. But I from you, I see you usually teach from a healthy space. Other people I seen, you know, like Admiral, what's his name? I ain't gonna say no names, you know, just talking shit. But Admiral definitely do it. You know, try to teach to make people feel small. You know what I'm saying? Almost like flexing who brain bigger type thing. I feel like that's kind of ugly. You know, it's kind of cute on Instagram. It's cool for content, little arguments here and there, but at the end of the day, are you a real teacher? What is your purpose
yeah,
when it comes? Like, why did you go get your knowledge? Did you get that to make people feel small, or did you get that to help people on their journey? You know what I'm saying? What
yeah.
what,
Also, like,
what was the
And
point?
how does it
intelligence.
translate in real life? Who
You know what
calls
I
you
mean?
teacher? you know,
Yeah.
Also,
who
like
acknowledges you as a teacher?
a lot of
Like
these people are also like, if you're intelligent, you don't actually have to spell out the fact that you're an intelligent person. You'd say like your words would show, would be the evidence themselves. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I, in fact, I could flex that I have a biology degree and blah blah blah, and school a bunch of people on here and tell them that they're completely wrong about their assertions on DNA and genetics. But I sit there and listen, bro, and like sometimes, you know, a few people drop some gems, gently, you know, but then a lot of times
them
it's
ain't Jambonias.
yeah, I'm like I'm not gonna hear, like there's a bunch of shit I don't know, so like I'm willing to listen. You know? So you know, it's better to kind of approach it from a point of view like, no, I'm just like you, and there's plenty of shit I don't know. So like, here could be my contribution. If you really want to know the biology, here's my take. Here's what I learned. We could both be wrong, but like you know, it's all
Yeah.
about like kind of managing your access to knowledge, and it's like people think knowledge is a commodity you can possess and that kind of thing, but it's available to everybody. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
anybody can if their mind put their mind to it, but some people just refuse, and that's the problem. And usually those are the people screaming about how knowledgeable they are, right?
Yeah.
I'm the, I'm gonna say this and y'all know it, but I grasp what I'm about to say. Many people are hurt.
Yep.
Many people are hurt. They're really hurt. They're scared. They're confused. And they come from and they teach from these spaces. They speak from these spaces. They approach life from these spaces. And they're very resentful at times. Many people are. And we're not thinking that when we just be encountering people. We're just reactionary to their statements. And we're really not looking into them. We're looking at them, but and we're not really seeing this person is really hurt. This person is really lost. They're pretending to have it all. They're pretending to know it, or they're pretending to, but they're really hurt. And it's a level of empathy that we have, not just to understand that person, right? But for us to get a full understanding of life. We really we it's it's it is so vital, necessary, and incumbent upon us to be able to recognize when people are hurting and they're saying things out of hurt and out of hate, out of animosity, out of
Yeah.
resentment, out of vitriol, you know, just for so many different things. We really have to show a level of love and empathy, you know, to be able, you know, you know,
Yeah.
we don't realize how important we are.
Yeah,
We
we
don't
can't always
realize
take our hands
sometimes
off
the
the plate.
power of our presence.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm definitely one that does this. Sometimes when shit is people too far gone, I still do this regardless. I kind of take the hands off
What's too far
approach.
gone for redemption?
Yeah, facts. But like I said, as a man to man, sometimes you just gotta kind of point them in the right direction and let God take them there. But I do believe that we do have a certain responsibility as teachers, as people with knowledge, to help as much as we can to guide a certain soul or energy to a better space if we see their loss. You know what I'm saying? Versus just let them run around in circles in the dark when we can show them
Right.
where the light is at. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the hope that I want to put in some of y'all. You're never too far gone. You can you can be redeemed. You can have a renewed mind. You can have a renewed spirit. You're never so far that you're out of the presence. You know, you're never so far to where you can't be touched. You know, there's still there's still hope. And some people feel like they've done things to where they can't come back from things, or they've experienced things that they can't come back from. But you can have a renewed. That is something that is something that's been granted. You know, as long as you have life, you know, you have the opportunity. You know, and a lot of people don't see that. They don't see that when it pertains to life. Many people are hopeless. You know, they're hopeless. You know, and they lack these things. They put themselves into these dark spaces. You know, there are three. There are three phases of the night. And that's symbolic of the three phases of the dark. You know, these three different phases. Because you're in this darkness, it doesn't mean you can't perceive light. It doesn't mean you don't know what light feels like. It's
Hmm.
like you're in a cave. It's dark in the cave, but you can look warmness of the light, how warm it is once it hits your skin. You remember the 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 good feelings you got when it just touched you. You know, some people are just in the dark. Sometimes they need help to guide them back to the light, and we got to make sure that we do our part. You
Hmm.
know, in helping guide people back to the light. You know, it's not enough. It's not enough to just be self-righteous.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just say, "Well, I'm okay." Shit. I hope they can figure it out for themselves. That's not enough.
Hmm.
You know, it's not. You've done your life a disservice. And you've done your brother, your sister a disservice by not helping to guide them at times to the light. You know, and I'm going to yield on that note. We got 5 seconds left. Peace and blessings to all of you.
Peace and blessings. Good talk. Good talk.